Hello everyone. The following video is my conversation with Dr. Roman Yampolskiy, a computer scientist known for his work on AI safety and for sounding the alarm about the possible catastrophic consequences of uncontrolled AI. He has been featured on podcasts with millions of views, and today I'm honored to have him here. In this conversation, we dive into some deep and huge questions. Are we living in a simulation? What does it mean to be an NPC or a main character in that simulation? Can superintelligent AI ever be controlled? And is it possible to solve the problem of death? I started this podcast after building a huge audience on Instagram, mostly posting quotes, jokes, and memes. But then I also decided to start talking to some interesting people like Roman in longer format. So I have more conversations lined up coming up in the future in different topics. So please subscribe to stay updated. The podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You can also DM me directly on Instagram at philosophy.everyday. And if you're interested in these topics, check out Roman's book, AI, Unexplainable, Unpredictable, and Uncontrollable, and follow him on X, Facebook, or LinkedIn, where he's most active. And now to the conversation. I hope you enjoyed. Do we live in a simulation? Why or why not? What do you think?
I think we do. I think there is good evidence from physics, from quantum physics, from statistics, from history of humanity, all pointing in that direction.
Okay, that's quite a statement. Can you elaborate more? So you're saying that what we are discussing right now is it's based on simulation. Yep, it's like an advanced video game. We
It's
might
a
be
virtual reality. It's Second Life is the cheaper version imitation of the first life, right? So you have better graphics, better haptics, but same idea.
so you and I are just NPCs in the very advanced video game.
We are main characters.
Yeah, main
Yes,
characters.
main
Yeah,
characters.
that's better.
That is
But
much better. Nobody wants to be an NPC.
So what do you think? What defines someone as a main character or NPC in that digital world?
So I think having internal states, being conscious, and being able to go outside of your script is an important part of it. We don't know how to test for consciousness, so I kind of have to assume that our people are probably conscious, given benefit of a doubt. But if they were what is called philosophical zombies, right, I would not know the difference. If they had a script where they go through the day doing the same thing over and over, that would be an NPC.
Yeah, so you are saying that as of now, there might be some people that are actually philosophical zombies. They are NPCs. They follow script. Is it possible to identify when you interact with an NPC or the main character?
It's not obvious, and it's very hard to test. As I said, we don't know how to test for consciousness, but if you hear the same story from a guy 5 times in a row, maybe it's an NPC.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, if we are inside the simulation, and one of the things that you talk a lot about is superintelligence. Eventually, we are reinventing superintelligence. So, can superintelligent AI help us hack the simulation, or is it not possible?
Well, it depends on the intellectual difference between our superintelligence and the one running this universe, and whatever it is, a security-minded simulation or not. If it's something, not observed, maybe for entertainment purposes, it's a lot easier to hack versus if it's specifically prison-like simulation for hardcore criminals being rehabilitated. So it really depends. We don't know from inside what the purpose is. We don't know the capabilities. Typically, you would assume that an earlier superintelligence with access to more computational resources from outside, that superintelligence would be much more powerful. But if there is any way to figure out what to do, we definitely can benefit from local superintelligence assisting us. A lot of times when we talk about safety, we talk about boxing advanced AI. And so that's essentially a very similar concept. If it can escape from any virtual environment, virtual container we create, maybe we can use similar techniques to attempt on our virtual container.
Okay. So in your book, AI, Unexplainable, Unpredictable, Uncontrollable, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying that if there is such a super intelligent AI, it will not be possible to control it.
Not by lower level intelligences like us, not indefinitely, but if it happens to escape and by some chance or for game theoretic reasons we're still around, then we can use that knowledge perhaps for simulation hacking.
Yeah. Do you think super intelligent AI can help us expand human epistemology? Because if it's more if it's more smarter than us, then it may even jump into those unknown unknowns that you have mentioned that we are not able to jump into. So, is it possible in the future that it may even help us expand into a wider area of epistemology?
Well, obviously, it can help us with understanding the universe, doing philosophical work, scientific work. The whole point is that it is much more capable in mathematics and really every domain by definition.
One of the things that I have been doing recently, also, I have been reading Aristotle's Politics. It's a very well-known book on foundational book on politics, and there is an argument that Aristotle lays out there that okay, the reason that there is a shared governance in the world that we have, we usually don't trust one person dictating everything is that we don't have that person basically in the world because everyone is flawed. But if the super intelligent AI comes along one day, it might eventually claim that role because it might know everything about us. It might even design a best possible way to govern. So, do you think super intelligent AI, if in the future, can also claim the moral right to rule over humanity based on the argument that it's more capable, it's more intelligent?
Morality is very human determined, right? There is not absolute answer. So we may be very unhappy and consider it completely immoral and ethical agent while it's still smarter, more capable, better optimizer. So it can seize power by force. It could be a dictator for life, but there is no guarantees of benevolence from superintelligence.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you mentioned in your book is friendly problem of question of friendly AI. Yes, uh, but
So that's the language I think we used for safety, for safe AI before we coined the term safe AI. So I think Eliezer Yudkowsky proposed calling it friendly AI.
yeah, but one can also imagine a scenario where in super intelligent agent can also wipe out humanity while being the most in a most friendly way. So sometimes I have a difficulty understanding if why the mainstream research is like kind of obsessed about friendliness. Something can be friendly, something can be polite, but they can also achieve something very terrible. No.
That's why I not really use the term. I like safety and security term. It provides certain guarantees of our, existence and state of existence.
Yeah. Can you define what do you mean by AI safety? Or what do you propose in opposed to friendly AI? What's the concept that you're proposing and what do you mean in simple
Right. So
terms? Yeah.
any AI model we create first needs to be secure from other agents, hackers, human hackers, other AI, so they cannot modify your very nice safe AI. And when I talk about safety, I mean safety for humans from AI as an agent. So not safety for AI from others, that's the security part, but it is not trying to harm us directly, implicitly, or explicitly. There is a slight difference between being safe and being in control. So if AI, for whatever reason, liked us and wanted us to be safe, it could accomplish that, but it doesn't guarantee that we are in control and making decisions about the state of the universe. So I also talk about control, and that's the part which is very hard to achieve if you are not the smartest agent around. So we ideally want both. We want guarantees of safety, and we want to be able to undo decisions we don't agree with.
Yeah. What is this concept of unknown unknowns?
So there are certain things I know very little about. They are kind of known unknowns. Someone else might know it, or I can at least know about my limitations, look them up. I don't know anything about, I don't know, oncology or something. And there are other things which I don't even know I don't know them. So I have no concept. I never encountered it. No one told me about it. So I think a lot of times when we talk about more advanced intelligences, they can come up with things we never realized are possible. In physics, in cryptography, in mathematics, we simply don't have that knowledge available to us to even consider. We don't have full space of possibilities mapped out. So they're completely dark matter areas of knowledge as well.
Yeah. I guess it might have it possibly good and bad. Yes, good might be coming up with a way to stop, for example, climate change that we humans can never figure out. So that's also unknown. Uh,
Right. You can have very bad things which are surprising and also very good surprises. Both are possible. A lot of times it's a dual use technology. You come up with something and it's either a nuclear bomb or a power plant. You decide how to utilize that concept.
and your concern is that we don't know if it will be good or bad, like the ways that it proposed. So, if, for example, you can set a goal and say, uh, eliminate suffering, but that's a goal. It can achieve this goal, but through different ways. So one is just to eliminate all the human beings, another is to come up with some drug where you take it and you don't suffer at all.
Right, but you kind of discussed those concepts, so you know about them. You may not be an expert, but you already understand those concepts. I'm more concerned about things we cannot even talk about because we don't have that concept, and then I cannot test for it, I cannot predict it, I cannot prepare for it. So the safety guarantees are violated as soon as that new concept arrives.
Yeah. Okay, so there are things that we might not even know. So climate change, eliminating suffering is the things that we know, but there are even some things about the fundamental nature of reality that it can discover. It can discover maybe we are just NPCs or main characters in some alien child's video game, and then it may decide to just turn it off because it runs on energy, and we might have a better way of saving this energy for something more productive than humanity running on a simulation.
Anything's possible where we don't have good understanding yet. I doubt it's going to be as successful as finding controls for the simulation and reducing temperature with a switch, but it definitely could come up with novel properties of matter, novel power laws, basically things we suspect may be there but have no idea of how to get to.
Okay, so there is this prospect of uh, super intelligent or intelligent, more intelligent than humans, agent coming up in the future, but then there are humans. So the question is, what is so special about humans that you might still value that we cannot find in AI, or the gap is getting narrower, do you think, as the
So in
time
terms
goes?
of capabilities, it doesn't seem like we're that special. There could be much more capable optimizers, pattern recognizers. On the other hand, if there is something special about us, we have some internal states which are unique to our biology. Qualia is only capable of being produced in that substrate. Then maybe there is some benefit to having conscious agents. And again, if it's somehow connected to the simulation, maybe we are the non-NPC characters in the game.
Yeah, putting AI aside, what's the thing that makes humans special in your opinion? Like what's so special about humanity?
Well, right now we are the smartest, most creative agents around. So right now we are still quite special. That may not be the case later. That's why I'm so concerned.
Yeah. Do you think consciousness and also being able to suffer So would it be possible in the future? Let's say AI can also suffer, can get conscious. It has its own tastes, likes, dislikes, and if you
I
hit it,
don't know
it might.
about physical pain, so that's very unique to our biology, but suffering in terms of watching your work being deleted or losing access to a resource, perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things that you mention in the book is that this s- problem of universal ethics. I think there is a line there that says solving the problem of alignment would require solving philosophy. So if alignment requires that, is alignment possible at all? Because we haven't come up with one grand overview of human ethics that we can upload to AI, assuming there is a way to upload it, which we don't know yet.
Yeah, I think alignment is a very undefined concept. So we don't really talk about who we're aligning with, what set of agents. Is this the owners of the company? Is this the paying users? Is this all the humans and animals and aliens? So that part is undefined. Then even if we decided on that set, we don't have a definition for how to merge those preferences. If you have 8 billion different agents who are human, who have different preferences, it's not obvious if it's just a simple democratic vote, which is 51% attack, or do you have some sort of weighted decision making? And if we decide on that, we change our minds. What we valued 20 years ago, we don't care about today, and vice versa. So those are not static values, they're dynamically changing. And if they were static and we agreed on them, we still don't know how to code them up. Concepts of good and evil don't translate well into C++. So no aspect of value alignment problem is actually meaningfully defined, formalized, or solvable.
Yeah. Then what's the solution to that problem?
Don't build super intelligences. Use awesome narrow AI tools to solve your problems. Make lives of people better with technology, but not replacing humanity with a competing intelligence.
So something like specific problems is focusing on, let's say, solve the climate change or solve some disease rather than one.
Diseases are a great example. Climate change is also not very well defined. Some people are worried about warming, some worry about freezing. Let's not worry about dynamic changes. You have a specific type of cancer. It'd be awesome if we could cure it. That's a testable, verifiable result, and we can talk about more general health improvements, better quality of life in old age, longer life. All those things would be awesome.
Yeah, as opposed to super intelligent, one all-knowing entity come up with the solutions that can solve specific problems. Yeah,
It also keeps us in the game. We are the ones using the tool. We are deciding what problem we are working on, what is important. We're not giving up control and our function in the environment.
so keep it as a tool that can solve problems rather than let it become an agent, independent agent.
Exactly. I think that's a very important safety difference. We know how to control people who control tools. We understand their motivation. We have no experience with agents who are smarter than us by a lot. So that could be very, again, unpredictable and unlikely to result in good outcomes for us.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine like nowadays smartphones are like the inseparable became has becoming inseparable part of like the toolkit. Like, would something like having personal super intelligence available to everyone be possible? So let's say everyone has a cheaper life companion where everyone has a super intelligent companion where they just get advice and everything. So more advanced version of, let's say, ChatGPT, but it can solve all the problems. It can access everything. So do you think that can be one of the ways? Like, okay, build a super intelligent agent, but everyone has this tool, like one super intelligent agent as a
So we're kind of
companion.
mixing the terms. We're talking about super intelligent agent, but as a tool. That doesn't work. You either have a tool, which is sort of what you have right now with GPT, whatever, 5 right now. It helps you. If it's a super intelligent agent, now it has you. and it's not obvious what uses it has for you, if it's useful at all. Uh, I don't think we can control them, so it's unlikely to be 8 billion superintelligences all just obeying random NPCs. But in terms of technical capability, I think we can put very advanced AI models on individual phones. That's not crazy. We can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that line between agent and tool.
And
How
it's a
do we
very
decide?
fuzzy one. It's not obvious how to separate them. If you create sufficiently advanced narrow tool, it may be smart enough to also look at our domains eventually. So I think it's buying us a lot more time. If we go that way, we're going to have, maybe a couple decades of good development. But at the end, it's the same infrastructure. It's a neural network capable of learning new things. As it improves its capability in one domain, maybe it's working again on oncology, cancer problems, it reads papers, it picks up additional knowledge. So eventually it will still obtain more agenthood than we are comfortable with.
Yeah, so if GPT-5 is now a tool and we are concerned about agent, so how do you see the jump between tool from agent? Do you think this would happen almost instantly that we cannot even notice, or do you think we could see some early signs before it moves from tool to agent stage?
Well, companies are explicitly trying to create agents. That's where they see most of financial gain. You're creating free employee, free labor, physical, cognitive. So they're explicitly trying to take the tool agent, place it within loops of iteration, keep thinking, keep trying, get other agents involved. So they're trying as hard as they can to create agents out of what we have now. And I guess it's going to be a slow, fuzzy transition until they are fully successful.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible to see some signs? Like, is it, let's say, you are in a stage where you are suspicious that it will turn into agent, but it's still tool, but there are like some signs, or do you think it will be instantaneous jump overnight?
I do feel it's going to be a bit fuzzy. That's why I'm concerned we cannot have a perfect test for, like, is this an agent? A tool can become agent-like with enough advancement.
What do you think that could be a best tool to identify whether something is tool or an agent?
So for now, we can just look at generality. How applicable is it outside of a field in which you trained it? So if you only give it genetic data, is there any signs that it's also picking up other skills? It's playing chess, it's speaking French. If you start to see those patterns, then maybe it's a general learner and likely to have some agentic capabilities.
Yeah, perhaps it's also a good time to define, like, is there a difference, uh, like what's the distinction between artificial general intelligence and super intelligence?
So usually general intelligence was defined as AI capable of doing what people are doing, learning skills in different domains, and then maybe serving as an employee in those domains. Superintelligence was defined as a system smarter than all people in all domains. So it's a better scientist, better engineer, better chess player, really everything it dominates.
So like dominating every human being, like in every single task.
We are no
And
longer competitive with it as people. It would outperform you at your area of expertise, whatever you do.
yeah. So what's your prediction? I know you talked about before that it's unknown, but like personally, what do you think could be the realistic time frame where we invent the god?
It's very hard to predict right now. I think it's not so much how much time is left, but how much money we're willing to invest. If you had $1 trillion today, probably you can train it today if you got access to the processing power. So I think every year it becomes cheaper and cheaper to get there. Maybe it's going to be 100 billion next year, 10 billion. So it's exponentially cheaper until somebody has enough money to just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you are referring to like companies investing all those billions to.
National governments as well, not just companies. Everyone's racing. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think these companies, for example, let's say they meet okay, let's decide the goals for the next 2 quarters. Like, do they just unconsciously or almost in autopilot say, hey, let's just invest and let's come up with the best version of the AI? Or do you think is there safety component in those discussions? Like, what do you think is happening in these companies' discussions?
I don't have any insider info. I'm not part of those meetings, but outside the view is that they're trying to get there first. They're trying to outcompete everyone. And the way you do it is by having a bigger cluster, bigger compute resource, more data, better data, and smartest scientists you can hire. So that's what we see. There is poaching from other companies that is trying to secure as many NVIDIA chips or create alternative chips as you can, and trying to acquire rights to all the training data. So safety doesn't seem to be an important component of any of those decisions.
Yeah. Or if it's like a secondary to the first objective, which is to come with the.
I think they find having a good, reliable system for users. They're not against it, but not being able to solve control problem does not stop them.
Yeah, I think some in some corners there is this optimistic belief. Yes, technology is always good. More intelligence means more benevolence. So automatically, if you are more clever, more smart, that's going to be automatically good. But you're saying that's not going to be the case.
Well, what is the point of view? Are you an alien looking at our solar system and going, I don't care, I just want the smartest agents to win, and whoever it is good for the universe? Or you a human being with a family trying to decide if this is a good thing for you?
Yeah. I think one of the things that you talk in the book is the Fermi paradox. Just wanted to ask about that. So could uncontrollable AI explain the Fermi paradox? Civilizations destroying themselves before spreading.
Well, not completely, because then you would see that superintelligence spreading around, right? The wall of computorium or something like that taking over, collecting more computational resources. For game theoretic reasons, maybe they go on internal expansion, so they become more miniaturized, maybe exploring quantum level structures, but we don't know. So it seems to be hard to look at those philosophical ideas as sort of like a three-body problem. You have superintelligence, you have biological intelligence, and you have simulation hypothesis. And all three of them kind of cancel out on top of each other. So for Fermi paradox, you can really play it any way you want. You don't have definitive data to decide either way.
Yeah, one of the things that got stuck in my mind is this idea that like human evolution. Okay, if you look at the human evolution from ape to Homo sapiens, I don't want to say it, but it makes sense logically that AI might be the next step. What do you think about this idea, like human evolution from ape to Homo sapiens, and the next late stage is the superintelligence?
Yeah, so it's more of an intelligent design, right? We're engineers, we're scientists making it. We're making a conscious decision which direction to go, what capabilities it will have. So if anything, it's piece of evidence for intelligent design right there. And we are now creating more advanced, more capable artifact at much faster timescales. It's not taking us billions of years. We went from inventing computers to almost superintelligence in like hundreds.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's interesting. Like, if that's the final end, like intelligence is the final thing that defines everything. So, I mean, it's terrifying because, but it might also be real. No, like ape, then humans, and then
So that's
robots.
what we know. We know that intelligence is a very helpful, very powerful force in the universe. But as I said, there could be unknown unknowns. Maybe at certain level of intelligence, you realize it's consciousness, which is primary, and being ultra conscious is actually the next state of that. No idea.
Yeah. What would you do if you were the, let's say, dictator of the world? Let's say there is a one single government in the world. Because right now, as of now, nations are in a state of anarchy. Yes, that's what also Hobbes talked about, like state of nature. So So it's like everyone is competing against each other. They are saying, okay, if I can get 5% better than the other nation or other company at developing more advanced version of LLM, I will do it. I don't care. This will get me money, and I will be the best. So it's like an anarchy. But let's say you are the dictator of the world. You're saying, okay, you're managing things. Like, what would be your first, second, third step?
So I think I already mentioned I would prefer we allocated resources towards solving specific problems using specific tools. So we don't spend enough on life extension, and that's what really is going to kill everyone if we don't solve it. We should demilitarize AI. We are putting more and more independent systems in place where they don't even require a human in a loop anymore. And I'm sure soon nuclear weapons will be controlled the same way. So if I had power to change that, I would make those changes.
Okay, yeah. Focus on narrow issues than inventing superintelligence. So that's the way forward. Yeah, but
It's a safe way forward. There are many ways to keep advancing, but here we have more understanding and more control and can guarantee a lot more safety.
yeah, but where would that other concept that you talk about, person, universe for per person framework, go into this?
Right. So if we are successful at figuring out how to control superintelligence, something I'm skeptical about, but let's say we manage that, then the value alignment problem becomes a little easier. Now we can implement certain sets of values, but now we're back to multi-agent optimization. How do we get 8 billion people to agree, to compromise? I don't want to compromise with you. Why would I want to do that? So you get your own universe. You can set any temperature you want in your bedroom. Not my problem. I have my universe. Everyone's happy. We're in those virtual worlds, which to us feel absolutely real. There is no loss of quality. In fact, what you can afford in a virtual world, you can never afford in a real one. Everyone gets waterfront properties, can do it in the real world. So it seems like it's a solution with certain assumptions. So if we can create realistic virtual worlds, we can control advanced AI, then this is a great way to give very aligned states of existence to all agents.
So like a advanced video game where it's like a real life, but it's a video game.
Exactly like what you experience right now. So if you wanted to try being a human in 2025 playing podcast host, that would be a game.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's how we also enter into simulations. No, it might be the case.
That's
This
exactly it. If
solution.
we learn to remove that part of memory where we enter the game, it becomes more realistic, more enjoyable. If you forget the fact that you're playing a game, that's the holy grail of virtual experiences.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. No, it's like uh, someone else decided to build, and that's the reality that we are in. No, but
Maybe you
interesting.
decided to build, you just don't remember.
Yeah, but what reason they had, for example, for creating mosquitoes? So it makes.
You cannot know from inside what the reason. We can talk about our standard beliefs, marketing, experimentation, entertainment, security, but the real reasons outside may be completely beyond our comprehension.
Yeah, I think objectively it's very. Yeah, it makes sense. So you have your own individual universes. Go and in one game you can become a outlaw. In another one you can become a king or something, and then enjoy
You want
the.
to collect experiences, collect quality. You want to try different things. You get bored being the same billionaire all the time. So you try, I'm a soldier, I'm a plumber. You try different things.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, makes sense. I think sometimes I was thinking maybe the the life purpose of the life, the meaning of the life is found in the exploring uh, all the possibilities of your DNA. So maybe having more experiences is the so video games might be the key to actually the meaning of the life. I know there are a lot of people will dismiss video game is just a cheap way to spend time, but it might be the key to life's meaning, like having as much experience as possible in life.
Right. So if you create virtual worlds which are very high fidelity, you can experience things you would not be able to experience otherwise. Maybe explore stars you cannot get to otherwise. Maybe, you can change time scales and experience more per unit of time outside the simulation. So yeah, it's definitely opening up possibilities for some quality collecting.
Yeah. So you can also have an undo button. Yeah, that's I think you mentioned in the book. If you don't like if you made a decision that you regret, just to undo and start again, like a
So I
video game.
usually use undo button for decisions from AI. We don't want it to decide something for us where we disagree, but yeah, you can absolutely roll back your virtual experiences, sort of like time travel.
Yeah. I think it's a very rational, yeah. But then the question would arise, like, what does this mean for human psychology, ethics? Like, if you can have an undo button, avoid responsibility.
Well, you have dreams, right? You wake up and you go, "Oh, thank God I didn't do that in real life." That's kind of like that, right?
Yeah, maybe the dreams are just the key to another universe, another simulation.
Simulations within simulations.
Yeah, there are some dreams that you wake up, it's like it was a reality already. Maybe this one is the fake one. That one is the original.
A lot of things to investigate. We don't do enough research on simulation hypothesis. Interestingly, very few people actually seriously engage in that research.
Yeah. You also talk about cognitive uncontainability. Humans may never conceive the strategies AI uses. Well, if you combine this with unverifiability, so do you think that means also that AI will need to come up with its own safety measures, like create its own ways of verification because we can't conceive?
So, you're mentioning multiple topics. AI itself would have similar safety concerns because it's now worried about super intelligence coming around liking something else. So, it's also dealing with the control problem and alignment problem. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. So you mentioned that in the future, if there's a super intelligent agent, he might not conceive the strategies that it might use to achieve some goals. But
So the
then,
differential between cognitive ability, if you think about your pets, right? They don't fully understand what you're doing, where are you going, and what you can do to them. They have very primitive understanding of the world. They understand you go hunting, you bring food back, you're the leader of the pack. That's about all they know about you. If you come with a gun, that's completely outside of their cognitive interpretation of the world model.
yeah, assuming that uh, they are better than humans at every level, so of every level of intelligence, they come up with solutions that solve the problems that we cannot solve. But then you can just give it a prompt saying, okay, create a safety measure that while you are eliminating some human suffering, don't accidentally destroy all of humanity. So it needs to come up with its own safety measures and way to verify which we have no
Yeah,
idea
that's the
about.
catch-22. You need to have a safe AI to create safe AI. It doesn't really help. You're kind of passing the buck forward without any actual solutions.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think? How safe is safe enough? Because I think you mentioned some in the book is that best we can hope for, given the uncontrollability is safer AI, not 100% safe. So how safe is safe enough?
Right. So this is a problem. If you're betting all of humanity on it, if you truly believe that uncontrolled superintelligence with one decision can wipe us out, one mistake or one decision, then that's the level of security you need, right? You cannot say 1 in 100 only failure state. That would guarantee wiping out humanity. So you need levels we never see in software. Nobody says my software is, 100% reliable, bug free, never goes down. It's just not how security operates, not how software engineering delivers. So we have standards which are acceptable for other domains with tools, But for this specific problem, I think standard has to be 100% guarantee, and we cannot get there. That's one of the reasons I'm so skeptical about long-term outcomes.
So you're saying we get one chance and that's it. It may fail or not.
I'm saying if superintelligence fails intentionally, accidentally, it can take us out. So that one possibility, how often is that going to come around? Once in a billion decisions, once in a trillion, and you can decide what is acceptable to you, but you can't really decide what is acceptable to me and 8 billion other people. You're running an experiment on all of us. So I think most people would say, I don't care how much free stuff you're giving me. If there is a non-trivial chance, non-zero chance I'm going to be dead in 10 minutes, don't run the experiment.
Yeah, even if there is a small chance, that means if it becomes reality, then the result is
But
catastrophic.
chances have to be weighted with payouts, right? So very high positive payout gets canceled by absolutely negative payout, like infinite negative.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. Do you think okay reliance on AI? I have read some articles also that showed some cognitive decline in people using ChatGPT for some time. So it's like a paradox for me. It's like because we also use calculators and Google Maps, and I can't remember the route myself, but I rely on the smartphone all the time. So do you think overall this reliance on AI tools makes us less like dumber, like or the vice
I think
versa?
it switches you to this extended mind hypothesis where like some of your cognitive processes are just externalized now. You are you plus the tools you are using. We talk about building tools. This is a great tool. I have it with me. So together we are smarter. But the component of a hybrid system, which is just me, is definitely not remembering phone numbers and street names. None of that is housed locally. All of that is extended into the cloud now.
Yeah. Do you think human? Okay, you mentioned about human being plus tool making us more okay overall as a net. You're able to achieve more, solve more problems. Yeah, but would there is this idea of cyborg combining human and why do you think it's not a viable solution in the future?
It's viable as long as we have a smart agent and we are touching a tool. If you are attaching yourself to a superintelligence, then you become a useless appendage. You're a biological bottleneck and you will be removed. Explicitly or implicitly, you contribute nothing to the hybrid system.
Yeah, so it may decide that hey, it's just a additional burden on me. Let me just
Burden very slow. It takes you forever to hear things, say things, understand things, and your decisions are usually inferior. Why even bother with you?
yeah, interesting. Okay, cyborg solution is out of the way. If that's the case, I was more hopeful about that. I think that's it would be nice. No, it's like you can upload your part of you to a machine and you can enhance your capabilities. You can run faster than any human being.
Yeah, those are fine. So I'm saying as long as those are tools inferior to you, they're beneficial to you. And yes, if I don't know how doable it is to upload you, but it would be an interesting experiment in software development for sure. It wouldn't be you, it'd be a copy of you. So immediately you would start diverging in your knowledge and your preferences. Obviously, it doesn't care about eating food or sleeping or anything biological at that point. So very different wants and needs.
Well, I think in one of the chapters you also talk about this paradox. I think you mentioned a little bit earlier. Wanted to dive deep into this one. So controlling AI isn't safe if criminals can hijack it. So if you can control AI, but that means malicious agents can also control it.
Exactly. So if we keep hearing about open access, open source AI, if you give 8 billion people this intelligence tool, super intelligent tool, again, assuming it's controllable, what are they going to do? So many crazies, psychopaths, terrorists, and then they can now use this technology to cause unprecedented levels of harm. And if you think other AIs will cancel it out, now you have this AI and AI war, and we're just collateral damage in that process.
So I guess then both options are risky, controlling and not. If you are able to control it, that means if you make it open access, then everyone can.
If
But
a
if you,
specific person can control it, then it's up to them at this point what happens, right? So they better be a very good person who is not corrupted by absolute power, which is unlikely to happen. If you give it to everyone, then you're dealing with an average psychopath on the internet a lot of times.
yeah, and if not controllable, then that's another scenario. Yeah,
Right.
both
And then we
ways.
don't decide what happens to us, and the system decides. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to be good. It may, for whatever game theoretic reasons, give us a reasonable amount of good time, quality life, but it's not guaranteed. And I think we need certain levels of security guarantees.
Yeah, but in any of those two options, still we are doomed. Yeah.
Looks pretty bad.
Okay. Are you a proponent of slowing down AI progress? So if there is a, let's say, campaign tomorrow, 100,000 scientists come together, say, hey, world, let's just slow down and establish a commission where we agree on some basic principles. Would you sign that letter?
So again, I want progress on superintelligence to be zero. And I'm happy with kind of differential technological progress in fields which are helpful and supportive. So, yes, I want AI research on narrow tools to continue and give us all the benefits we want. I don't think general statement about ban science, ban technology would be useful.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like it's almost uncontrollable, even though it is the humans themselves creating these tools. As if it's like all the time we want to invent something new. And that ties to my earlier concern about evolution, where we evolve into a machine, and that's our future grandchildren, not us, but them. So every time we want to invent something without even thinking about the side effects.
Right, right. Side effects are big, and a lot of times they're unpredictable. You cannot know from making this discovery what people will do with it 10 years later. We have so many examples in history where a pure mathematics research led to development of very important tools, technologies, but was completely unanticipated by the inventor.
Yeah, I mean, even something like smartphones. Yeah, like they have been around for some time, and do we really know what's the long term effect of relying on your smartphone, using social media?
Right,
That's
especially with kids. We now just give, a 2-year-old iPad as a babysitter. We have no idea what that does to their mind, their social abilities 20 years later. Maybe it's great for them, maybe not. We're experimenting in our children.
yeah, like 2-year-old kid crying, and then the mama or the papa says, "Take the iPad and shut up."
It works.
Yeah, some like recently I was traveling, and in the train I saw one mother spending time painting something together with the kid. Like it was something rare. You don't see it a lot these days.
Yeah, some people still do human things a lot.
Yeah, some people are questioning that they are not NPCs and they're real players. Huh?
Maybe that's their script. They just paint all day. I haven't seen it.
So that might also be part of script that you pretend to be.
Yeah, you're a
All right.
painter agent. That's what you do. You go around on public transportation painting things.
So that another stranger would look at you and say, "What a nice person."
Exactly. Keeping it interesting.
Yeah. But there is this topic about religions. I think I saw you talking about this briefly, but I was wondering if you can talk about this, maybe speculate it further. So there are religions, yeah. In every
I
religion,
heard.
it seems
I
there's like
heard. Yeah.
in every religion, every organized religion, there is a super intelligent agent. We talk about one God creating everything out of nothing. So maybe we understood religions wrong all along.
So not every religion, some are more like philosophical things talking about nature as a force and consciousness as a unifying one, not so much as an agent who's an engineer and scientist. That's more Abrahamic religions typically. But I think it's just a language difference. So you can map all the concepts in modern AI research onto theological concepts, and it works pretty well. Same problems, same challenges. We can learn a lot from their failures.
Yeah, it makes sense. Essentially, those organized religions, Abrahamic religions, they all talk about like one superint. So they might be the same thing, pointing to the same thing, but the traditions are different and they are developed locally. And
Of course,
that's
even within each one, I mean, there is hundreds of sub branches of Christianity, different variations on Islam. It's obvious that you're going to have local culture added to it. But again, what's interesting to me is the story is God creates biological robots and fails to control them. And now he has to either wipe them out and start over or modify them. He tries giving them rules to follow, and none of that works.
yeah, yeah. And that God can be the one that created the simulation,
That's the description, right? The one who controls it all.
one who controls it all, and you are just NPCs that you need to pray and don't do bad things. Yeah.
Free will. We are main characters in the game.
Yeah. Do you think free will exists? Do we have free will?
Say it again.
Do we have a free will?
Do we have a free will? So there is interesting research in cellular automata, which allows you to kind of define what free will is. So it's, to me, about unpredictability. If I cannot look at you and your environment and decide exactly what you're going to do, knowing everything about you, all the states of matter, molecules, atoms, then you have some unpredictable free will. But when we look at cellular automata, there are proven results showing that given all the states, I can compute what's going to happen, but I cannot have a shortcut to that decision. So I cannot kind of time travel to the future and see what you're going to do. I have to run your life, your experiences through. And then, yes, your decisions are deterministic in that environment, but they're not predictable to me. So essentially, you have free will in a sense of being unpredictable decision maker.
Yeah. Yeah. Determinism and versus free will. So if what happens at the end is that all the time we create a higher intelligence and then that intelligence at the end creates a universe, do you think that seems to me like more deterministic almost, inevitable end?
Well,
No.
people talk about how universes reproduce through black holes and such, and I'm thinking they reproduce by creating intelligent agents, creating other virtual worlds.
Yeah, yeah. I think Plato talks about this. Again, I'm going to put the philosophy cap. So, a theory of forms, that there is an eternal world out there that we have no access to. There is a perfect cat. What we see today is just a copy of that cat.
Mhm.
There's a perfect, table. What we see is a copy of that table. So I'm wondering, maybe he was right. Like it seems to be the similar idea.
Yeah, if you look at object oriented programming, you have this abstract object class, and from that you create instances. The instances may have local flavors, but the perfection of a circle class cannot be denied.
And then if you scale that object-oriented programming, then you end up with a universe. Yeah. Next. Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Sometimes I think about these video games. They have always map limits. Yeah. If you step out of the map, game crashes and you have to start all over or something happens. So what do you think the limit of the map is now in the simulation that we are reliving currently?
Well, there seems to be some interesting side effects when we start looking at super small. So the quantum world gives us some properties which is, at least to us, different than what we experience at large scale of our actual world interactions. So you have simultaneous events, you have communication at large distances, which is instantaneous. You have observer effects where if no one's looking, nothing is rendered. So those things seem like they are the interesting part to pick at to see what is possible. Is there a physics engine which is different from the one generating our experiences and so on?
Yeah. Uh, I used to play a lot of video games in the past, but not more these days. But yeah, at some point, even that relates to I think what you mentioned about unknown unknowns. So like when the new game video game comes along, it has a lot very nice graphics. You're like, how can these graphics be developed? But then 5 years later, there is a new video game that's even more realistic. So if you run this every 5 years, at some point it's inevitable. It will be same as reality, and then the question would come: what's the reality?
Yeah, maybe reality is actually a very low graphic, like 8-bit thing, and the real world is like way better, way more defined, and you just never experience that richness of colors and sounds.
Yeah, what could be? What do you think could be the good life advice? So let's assume we are either NPC or main character. Is your life advice would be just live your life as if you're the main character? Don't try to be NPC, or what do you think?
Well, I think an NPC would never have this concern about how to live their life. They have a script to begin with, right? If you're making those decisions, if you have some freedom in your outcomes, then you're already in that boat. You don't need my advice to tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay, if you are able to, yeah, make decisions, be independent, that might indicate you're not an NPC.
If you are trying to figure out what is this universe is all about and what you should be doing with your life, you're not following a script. That's already enough to tell you that you are probably not the most basic NPC agent.
Yeah, not most the basic, but maybe a line between NPC and real character. But I've also heard this. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
It could be that there's something in the middle. It doesn't have to be so binary. It could be a fuzzy spectrum of independence levels. Maybe you're like NPC level 2. You have some choices in your breakfast cereal, but not anything else.
Yeah, I read somewhere that says live your life as if it's a video game.
You take
So,
a lot of risks in a video game. I wouldn't recommend that.
I mean, in a video game, you level up. You try to improve your skills. If it's a role playing video game, so it's kind of similar in real life as well. Now,
In that sense, yeah, you definitely want to maximize your gameplay, enjoy it the most, produce the most good.
so the experience is what matters here when you propose that universe per person framework, going back to what we discussed.
It seems that our uniqueness is in having internal states, experiences. That's what makes us different from, again, just a piece of software so far. So maybe there is something about collecting those experiences, finding the most interesting ones. Perhaps later we can share them. Yeah, but top 10 qualia to try.
Would let's say there is a we come up with a super intelligent agent, why would they be okay with that solution? Like instead of just eliminating every human being, wouldn't it
Um,
require additional energy? Let's say I have my own universe, you have your own, it runs on an energy. So
yeah. So the assumption is again that we manage to control substrate. I don't think it's going to happen, but if we can, then that's what I would recommend as the next step. Energy requirements could be trivial. You don't know what the capabilities are outside the simulation. Maybe running all of this is like 2 minutes on a cell phone. It's not a lot of actual expenditure in terms of computational resources. You can optimize it, you can reuse so much. Most of our universe is a similar sky, similar grass. So you just reuse the code, reuse the compute. The differences between our lives are so small, it's just a couple of bits of decision making that it could be very efficiently run. If you have one simulation of our solar system running in sufficient detail, adding another player to a restricted but similar simulation should be dirt cheap.
So I also want to talk about something else. So there are different possibilities of human extinction. Yes, asteroid may hit,
Mhm.
something with climate change, whatever might happen. Nuclear bombs might go on all of a sudden. But like, what's the idea of like? Do you think it's possible to solve these problems with super intelligent AI? Is there any like? Because I think you mentioned about this in the book. So if you can just speculate about that, like we have some problems that are that are very pressing, but there is also a problem of controlling super intelligent AI. But there is also a prospect of super intelligent AI coming in and solving those problems. So do we want to have super intelligent AI without coming up with the safety and saying, let's just, okay, we have, let's say, 20% possibility of human extinction, but let's say we saw an asteroid that's coming in and 50% possibility of hitting it. So let's just invent super intelligent AI. We have more chance of survival with that. Let's think about safety in the future. So
Yeah, so I think the examples at least you bring up are kind of trivial, right? You don't need anything super intelligent to figure out, okay, asteroid is coming, we need to redirect it, shut it down. A narrow super intelligent AI can help us with that quite easily. Similarly, for our problems, I don't think climate change is actually happening in a time scale we care about. You're going to be long dead before the planet boils over. So you shouldn't be worried about it. And if you really care, stop polluting. It's not complicated, right? If we really cared, solution is trivial. Stop making it worse. We don't care because it's not actually hitting anyone personally. So that's why we are doing it as before, business as usual. Time scales matter. If superintelligence's solution to all these other existential risks, it cannot be that it is a risk which precedes in time. So again, if climate change takes 100 years and superintelligence is a danger in 5 years, it's either going to kill me or solve my problems later. So it's a meta solution. But as long as I'm more concerned about immediate problems within 5 years, everything else gets kind of put on a back burner. I'm not worried about it.
do you think that does uncontrollable super intelligent AI coming into the picture falls into the category of problems of next 5 years?
So as I said, I cannot predict exactly how long it will take. I can tell you how much it will take, and then you decide if anyone wants to spend that money.
Oh, okay. So it's a matter of resources that you can put in rather than the
Right. So
time.
if tomorrow China says we're putting $10 trillion into building this supercluster and we'll just train it as soon as we can, assuming they can secure chips, as soon as we finish training it, we have it.
Yeah. What do you think about the adoption versus uh, inventing something? So, for example, if you if you time travel to 1920s, let's say industrial revolution started at the 18th century, but if you just picked a random village city in the world in 1920s, most likely, I don't know the exact data, but most likely you will end up again in some agricultural
Mhm.
community. So can you elaborate more about this adoption versus invention?
Yeah, so good example. And many times we had technology, we had capability, but it wasn't deployed economically. It wasn't in all the products, and nobody can predict how long that will take. Sometimes people just don't want your product. We have flying cars, and for whatever reason, price, practicality, they are not common, but technology exists. So it's possible that we'll have ability to automate a lot of jobs, but nobody wants those fake employees, right? Artificial employees. It's not something I can tell you with any degree of certainty how long that gap is going to be. So far, it looks like as soon as we can automate an employee, we do because it's just so much cheaper. I don't have to pay AI anything if we need ticket agent, for example. Yeah, software does that way better, and nobody has a human ticket agent unless you like super old, disabled, something requires you to interact with a person for that.
Yeah. You also mentioned jobs. Yeah, that's an interesting area. No, like one thing is being able to replace humans, but then second thing is to making that decision saying let's fire 50% of employees. So what do you think our appetite level as a like in a regular company or firm would be in that scenario? Like your thoughts?
Well, it seems like they're in a competitive environment. We need to cut costs, and we see, for example, programming jobs being reduced greatly. I see it with our students trying to find co-ops or internships. I think there is like a 30% reduction this year alone.
And it seems like it affects mostly the entry level jobs.
For now,
For now, in the future, it will be what do you think would be the if you gave a number like percentage, or if not, just name few fields that you think that are most likely to be gone in the next 5, 10 years.
anything you do on a computer, anything where it's really just you are an accountant, you're a tax prep, anything where you're just entering numbers into tables, following rules, like we can automate it today.
Anything you do in computer that also includes my conversation with you, so that might also be automated. So there might be another person.
I don't even know if you're a real person. I have no clue. You take a lot of time, you have delays, you could be an AI. I have no clue.
Yeah, I think the same about you. Maybe.
There you go. Maybe two AIs just having a conversation in a virtual world.
Yeah, maybe you are the agent that was sent saying, okay, talk about these issues, but talk in a very controlled way. Don't say everything. So keep something secret. So about this unknown. So you might be knowing some unknown unknowns, but you're like, I
I
don't know.
can't tell you, yeah. If I tell you, they stop being unknown. It's not fun.
Yeah. I also saw you talk about uh, so finding a solution to immortality. Can you talk about like, do you think it's possible that one day we might find a solution to death? We can become immortal.
I think it is a disease, and I think we can definitely solve it. There is no laws of physics preventing that. Think about having a car. Like if you keep repairing it, forget the cost. You don't care about how much it costs, but you're replacing every part of that car. The car will last forever, right? At some point, there is no original parts. Everything has been replaced with new equivalent, but the car is still there. You're still driving it. And it's the same with any biological robot, right? You can replace all parts. Brain is the only one you cannot be a recipient of a donation. You have to be the donor. But everything else, kidneys, livers, we can update, renew. And if we get full understanding of our genome, how those things are made and rejuvenated, I don't see why we cannot live a lot longer, a lot healthier, and eventually make that process of updating ongoing. You get essentially lifespan extension of more than a unit of time per unit of time. So you have this longevity escape velocity. Every year, you live 2 years longer than before. So you're just keeping up with medical research, with breakthroughs, and they'll keep refreshing you.
Yeah, as long as you're not hit by a car or something, then that means you can update
Right.
your.
So it's a completely different problem, right? We're not assuming that you are killed by other means. We're talking about natural biological life and how that progresses.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think how many years would you, if you put a guess, that we can? Is there any hope of achieving it? Let's say in the next 100 years, finding a solution to that problem of dying.
Oh yeah, I think much sooner. We're making excellent progress just in the last couple of years with protein folding, with large data sets for genome understanding. I think it'd be around the same time we'll hit advanced AI.
Oh, much sooner. How much sooner? 10 years? 20 years?
I don't have specific numbers for that, but in terms of understanding, I think right now we have very small part of human genome understood in terms of its function. I think advanced AI is excellent at exactly that type of problem. So once you fully understand what everything does, it's a program. You have a program with a loop, and the loop says refresh 120 times, and you go in and you change it to 400 times or a million times, so infinite loop. Keep the cancer at bay and you're good.
Yeah, well, it would be also sad if we have those two things at the same time. No, like you find the cure for problem of dying, but then you have a super intelligent AI coming along and saying, "Why? Like, what's the point? Like, what does the human being add to the universe that we should?" I think my microphone. Anyway, so what's the point of having human beings live forever?
It's actually worse. You can have malevolent superintelligence come into existence to torture you, and now you live forever.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Think, but you also okay about this torture problem of torture. But do you think suffering, for example, is actually necessary ingredient for human beings? Because when we talk about AI solving issues, all these utopias, but maybe some of the things that we don't like are necessary for the flourishment of human civilization. So you may have your personal universe in the future, but where you enjoy your life, you get the pleasure all the time. You have different experiences, but some of the things that we come up with is a response to the like suffering. That's the key element of like how do we balance this with this personal universe
all right. So
theory?
specifically with physical pain, I think we don't need as much diversity in levels of pain. You just need a negative signal to not allow you to do stupid things or dangerous things. So it doesn't have to be negative infinity, positive infinity. It could be 0 to 10. So you're getting negative reinforcement, but you're not suffering. And I think it's a big difference. So there are unimaginable levels of physical pain and suffering some people go through. Most of us can't even comprehend what's happening to them. I don't think that should exist in the universe.
Yeah, the way I'm thinking also is given how weird human psychology is. Like even if you put numbers 0 to 100, 0 to 1,000, eventually we make zero might be not even a pain for you like in the future. And like if you rationalize this, then it loses some its meaning, in that scenario.
So it's all relative, right? You just need a signal which tells you not to do that. But like once you got the signal, I don't need it to be a million times more painful. And a lot of times that's what's happening. People lose consciousness from how painful something is. They're no longer making decisions based on a negative signal. They are out completely as a decision maker. So clearly there is overflow of signal.
Yeah, so allow enough suffering, enough pain, to the point where you don't just lose your consciousness, you don't just collapse, and you don't get tortured or something like that. Yeah.
I would make it very low level. So there are some people who genetically have a mutation, they don't experience physical pain, and they get in a lot of trouble. If their hands is, burning on fire, they don't notice it, they cause a lot of damage. But you can give them enough signal to pull the hand away, but not to burn alive and experience that.
Yep. Yeah. I think it also falls to what you said, unknown unknowns. Like you don't know how, like what's the psychological philosophical implication of putting a degree on the suffering or pleasure.
There is definitely importance of pain and suffering as the only real source for what is moral, what is ethical. Nothing else really matters, right? If you couldn't experience internal states, no pleasure, no pain, like it doesn't matter what happens in the universe.
Yeah, I guess then if the AI becomes, if AI is able to suffer, if AI is able to have subjective experiences, then the difference between human and AI, like what makes humans special, there doesn't seem to be any reason. Humans become secondary species in the world of intelligent agents, where one is more capable, and that one that is more capable is also suffering, can suffer. So you have to grant them rights.
And they could be more conscious. They can have super consciousness and experience much deeper states of being.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm. as I'm reading this book, Politics by Aristotle, where he says political animals, yes, humans are the only political animals in the world, and that makes us come up with decision making, deliberation. But if Aristotle suddenly respond in the 21st century, he would say, no, we have two groups of beings, two groups of political animals, not one. So that automatically grants them uh, share in participation, politics, decision making. And from there, you are looking into maybe one super intelligent dictator or something.
You can never give voting rights to AIs. They can reproduce at any level. So if you give voting rights and they create a billion copies, that means your vote is annulled. You no longer participate in democracy.
Yeah. But why do we participate in democracy? Why do we have so like humans, because we are able to have a conscious experience and suffer. But if AI is also able to do that, then why not grant them
Democracy
everything?
is a consensus algorithm. You want to come to majority agreement on what decision to make. And it's not perfect. It's not always resulting in what you hope for, but this is what we got right now, right? It's pretty good in many places. It works. If agents are sufficiently informed, they're sufficiently smart, that system seems to produce good results. So if you add AIs to that equation, you're basically saying I have a million humans voting here and a billion AIs also voting in the same election. You basically said I'm differentializing all humans, they have no vote.
Yeah, I'm thinking, why do we have shared governance in the first place? What I would assume is because there isn't like one agent that is perfect, that can decide everything, that knows everything. But do you see a future where we already have this with the super? Do you see a future where there will be one benevolent, super intelligent dictator, assuming that it's always aligned with the human values?
So there is no such thing. We talked about it with value alignment. There is no perfect, there is no optimal. You're talking about relative states for each agent. You may objectively disagree with me because for you, my decisions would cause your life to be worse. It doesn't mean I'm making bad decisions. I may be making a good decision for majority, where you are a minority in that decision. So there is no such thing as like, this is definitely an absolute right decision when it comes to agents with different preferences. That's why I had to invent unique environments for each, because otherwise, like in cryptography, you have 51% attack on consensus protocol, and 49% just have to take it.
Yeah, but if there, yeah, I see. Yeah, okay. But then there is a no.
Ethics, politics, they're just like physics. They're observer relative. In physics, we understand that what you experience, the speeds you see are unique to your position in life. It's the same in politics. There is no right party or right politician. Depending on who I am, how rich I am, how old I am, everything else about me, a different answer will be correct answer. And people don't understand it. And it's the same with ethics. Depending on what is your position in an ethical dilemma, the answer will be different.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be possible? Let's say AI looks at all the human history. Let's say it has an access to all the simulations, universes. The AI knows how humans are able to self-destruct themselves. It has access to all this data, and then we would trust that making decisions for us. And why would we vote then? We can say, hey, just you can decide for us. We don't care how we decide this.
Maybe it already did. Maybe that's why you are in this simulation.
Okay, I have another question. So you said you are the you are the person that came up with the concept of AI safety. Yes.
It's just the term, right? So the idea of worrying about advanced AI predates me by decades. Even founding fathers like Alan Turing worried about it. There was a lot of other names for it. Friendly AI we mentioned as a concept. People talk about human compatible AI, value alignment, but I think AI safety and security, which was the name of my book, and I mentioned in some 2010, 2011 papers, became a standard for referring to the field, yes.
Does it feel to be alive in this age of the world? I think because it's quite unique time, yes, in the human history. Would you rather to be born in a different century or a different timeline, or do you prefer this time?
I'd love to experience all of them. That's why I think it would be cool to have those personal simulations where I can try 1500s, 2500s. I mean, why limit yourself to one instance?
Okay, so then that combined with the immortality, yeah, you would live for 10,000 years and then explore all those universes, create your own.
I would live forever and continue exploring the space of possibilities.
Yeah. How hard is it to uh, follow up all the updates that are happening in the AI world these days? Like for example, let me ask a very very specific question about that. So, looking at next year, this time, do you think your predictions, any predictions that you might have now, do you have any trust on them, or do you feel like anything might be possible and we don't know?
So, no specific time-based prediction is scheduled for next year. General prediction of AI will become more capable while our safety capabilities will not significantly improve will hold. That's the only one I can stand by.
It's a
Yeah,
timeline versus resource issue, yes, that you mentioned earlier.
yeah. As long as we keep scaling the models, I think we'll see them becoming a lot more capable.
Yeah, if I were, let's say, recent university graduate in computer science, and we talked about entry level jobs disappearing almost, and for now, just for now, it's entry level, but in the future, anything you do with the computer might be automated. So, what do you think those folks should do? What would be the best advice?
They have a unique opportunity. They have access to those advanced AI tools, which allow someone to create a company full of artificial employees. As I said, you can have an accountant, a tax prep, a marketing guy, a web developer, all for $20 a month for less. Start your own unicorn.
Or come up with a solution for safety if there is
Unlikely.
a possible.
Unlikely.
Yeah, that's a very sad projection, yeah, for the future.
It's realistic. We have to not pretend that it's something else, right? If no one in the world claims to have a solution, why are we racing forward?
Yeah, take the red pill, then the blue pill is your. Yeah, there is this matrix idea.
Don't take both pills at the same time.
I heard someone's coming up with the idea of white pill. Is this like a combination of red pill, but also so you accept the reality, but you're also hopeful. So I think you mentioned this, and I've seen some other interviewers ask this question, ask this to you, saying, "Then there is no reason for trying." But I think you mentioned specifically in your book is that you should always try.
Well, you have no choice but to try. I mean, what else can you do? This is the environment you're in. This is the challenge you're trying to address. At least you'll have fun trying.
Thanks a lot for joining. I know you might be very busy, but yeah, I appreciate you coming up and speaking about these issues. And good luck with the research and outreach. I read the book. I think this is the one. Yeah, AI intelligence. I have a lot of highlights. So
Amazon reviews are always appreciated.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's a very nice book, and it's also very detailed, technical, but also accessible. But I think it really aligns with what you said at the last question, that accept the reality. So if, for example, what I mean by this is that if there is a topic that is technical, it seems like you're not trying to make it too accessible, too easy, but keep it pure, just to preserve the main idea. So
So there is usually parts, like one is just a high-level philosophical introduction to the idea, and then there is probably 200 references to highly mathematical formulas supporting the actual proof.
yeah, I think it's also a collection of the previous works that you have done. Yes, like yeah, yeah.
It is. It is. All chapters also individually published as research papers, so they went through peer review at the level of chapters, and then the book as a whole was reviewed.
Yeah, I have two follow-up questions about the book. First is, do you have any plans to write something else in the future? next year, 5 years, 10 years? Or are you?
Always ongoing process. So that's not the last book. We already had AI Endgame, right? That was published.
Yeah, and by the way, do you plan to do audio version of this?
My publisher has been doing it now for a year and a half. They told me they found a voice actor, they found all this awesome capabilities, except they never did anything. So if anyone wants to take an AI and just do it, I will be very happy with you.
But don't you want to be the voice actor yourself in your own
No,
voice?
definitely don't want to hear my voice in any audiobook. No.
But
Somebody with a better voice, like an AI.
or feed that AI all your interviews, all your podcast appearances, and say, hey, please generate, speech as if it's narrated by Roman. So
Again, I think you can find someone with better book reading voice.
you know what's very weird? So I've recently tried this Notebook LM. This is a Google. It has ability to generate podcasts. So it even generates those subjective feelings, subjective phrases. So I mean, two people having a discussion, and one person would make a joke in the middle, and the other person would laugh. It's like
I played with it. It's really good, but I think it's kind of short in its scope, at least so far. I don't think it will cover the whole book.
yeah, it's funny. You can even join the conversation. You can say, I want to say something, and it will stop and say, okay, the person wants to say something. Let's stop.
So your job is fully automated by now. Excellent.
Yeah, at the start of my new career, which it will be failure already. So
you'll have a good case to discuss on your podcast.
Thanks a lot. It was very great to talk to you, and thanks for dedicating some time. Really enjoyed it. And thank you very much.
Thanks for inviting me. Good luck with your podcast. Happy to be first, hopefully not the last guest.
Yeah, I have 3 more people lined up for the rest of the year, so it won't be the last.
Awesome.
But thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening to my conversation with Dr. Roman Yampolskiy. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe here on YouTube to watch the future episodes. Leave a like, follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple, and leave a review. It helps a lot as I grow this channel. You can also directly DM me on Instagram at philosophy.everyday. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.